I went to an anime convention, specifically Castle Point Anime Convention. I was extremely nervous, and it ended up being a learning experience. I was cosplaying a character named Astolfo, who's a guy that dresses in feminine clothes, skirts and such, and is widely known all over the internet for memes and such. I like the idea of being able to express myself through clothing the way I wanted to, so I proceeded to buy the outfit and wait for the day of the convention. That day, I put on the costume without the wig and put on my normal clothes to avoid walking around Brooklyn dressed in a skirt. As we were waiting for the bus, we met another group of people going to the convention, and we started to talk to them about anime, made a new small group of friends. And after making it to the back of the bus, I changed to my outfit, and I was fully ready to go to the convention. Getting off the bus, I saw the same people, but when I tried to talk to them, they walked away from me and looked with disdain, as if they didn't like the person I was and didn't see me for who I was 5 minutes ago. That already told me that this day was not going to go how I thought. After a bit of walking around and taking pictures, I went to the video game section to play Super Smash Bros., a game I always rely on to bring my mood up. I realized as long as I didn't speak to anybody, they wouldn't speak to me. So I stayed quiet the whole game while playing. And after 30 minutes of continuously bodying everybody, a small crowd started forming around the table to see who could beat down this mysterious gamer girl. During one of my last few games, I started hearing a lot of commotion behind me, but I ignored it and I kept playing. And the very next game, a guy sat down, but he was accompanied by cameras, a small monitor, and applause from everyone else. Later that day, I learned that he was a popular streamer with over 100,000 followers who were all watching at the time. His chat was hyping him up, saying stuff like, "Don't let this random girl beat you," or "Oh, you're not that good at the game if you let this person beat you," which put pressure on both of us, and even more people started crowding. It started getting to me, and I was getting nervous and sweaty. It felt like the area was heating up, and I ended up taking off the wig to let my brain get some fresh air. And that turned out to be the biggest mistake of the day. I was immediately met with oohs and ahs from the crowd, online and in person, stares, and people speaking out in general disdain about the fact that a guy was dressed in such a manner. That only made my anxiety worse, and I started feeling like all eyes were on me with hateful glares. Just to add insult to injury, I started hating myself, thinking about how this was a terrible decision, and I'm an idiot thinking that it will be a fun day like this. At that point, I started zoning out and almost lost my first game of the day. All my instincts were telling me, lose the game, just throw, that way I could grab my stuff and run away from my problems like I always have. But the pressure was on, and despite all of that hate, I stayed there, and I kept playing until the crowd died out, not losing a single game for the next 2 hours. After the crowd died out, the streamer came back to have a personal chat with me. He came to say GG's for the games, not only because he got bodied every time, but because he heard what everyone was saying, and he knew it took a good amount of mental fortitude to stay there throughout all the hate and still be on my best game. We talked for a while, and it turned out he actually admired how brave I was for coming dressed the way I did and going out in public with the bravery that I had. We became good friends, and even though we don't talk much, I'm still glad for that day, because I learned that confidence is key, and if you don't let what other people say stop you from doing what you want, you will be able to accomplish great things.